Well, I wanted to pop on here today and talk about what that means to do whatever it takes in sales situations and specifically in discovery calls. My name's Victoria Huff. I'm the founder of thehappyexecutive.com, and we help businesses that are looking to scale their sales and marketing, and we help them by implementing our sales and marketing strategies along with technology that complements our strategies and helps them with automation. So the most popular service package that we sell is the done for them. So we actually, move data over from a CRM, from their other systems, and set that up so that they can focus on sharing their expertise as thought leaders as opposed to actually, doing the work behind the computer. So we function as the back office. Now, the reason why I'm talking about some tips for these discovery calls is over the last 2 months, I've been a potential client on several discovery calls. And I have to tell you, I've been disappointed. And it's disappointing because the people that I scheduled these calls with, or in a lot of cases, it was team members of the other thought leader that I was, interested in finding out about their services, or just finding out about uh, some potential next steps. I purchased a book, and the book came with a call, which was supposed to be an informational call, but I'll go into that and explain why I think it's super important. But, with these discovery calls, with these strategy calls, it really is important that we are representing, like, let's say that I'm a fractional, working in a fractional sales executive position. It's super important that I'm familiar with the product, with the organization, not necessarily to say that I would be a master trainer in it, but whatever you're representing, whether it's a product or a service, you should be very familiar with it, or at least have a basic working knowledge, because it's not going to allow the prospective clients to get to know you. And the one principle that I have followed since I got into sales with AT&T was how important it is for people to know, like, and trust you. And chances are, if they don't get to know you and they don't like and trust you, there most likely won't be a transaction, at least with you. There could be other reasons, or they could go to someone else, but it's super important that that you are listening to them, that they feel heard. And what I'm seeing with the way that these discovery calls have been conducted, uh, the reason why I've been disappointed is because there appears to be an agenda that I'm not aware of. And if I ask any questions, then it seems to throw off the other person that I was having these discovery calls with. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that this is happening to. So I'd love to hear people's stories. But the reason why it's disappointing, quite frankly, is because, these organizations, these people that I schedule these calls with, they have a lot to offer. Absolutely. However, if I don't understand what they're offering, or if I have particular questions on, let's say, the book that I recently purchased, that person as a representative of the organization should be able to answer it, or at least offer to get the information for me, or see, like, offer some of the resources. And so it's been quite disappointing, like I said, because the last couple months, if I wasn't following along with their agenda, which I didn't even know what the agenda was, then it seemed like if I wasn't, ready to purchase what they thought I should be purchasing, then the whole dynamic, the whole energy changed. And that is a shame because, like I said, especially for the the uh, the people that are representing another organization, that organization, chances are, is not going to be represented in the way that the founder would like, or the way that is consistent with the culture. So, the first thing that I would like to recommend is that when you're conducting these discovery calls, or you're coaching one of your team members to conduct the discovery call, understand that the agenda should be more mutual. Because when I schedule these calls as a prospective client, I may be going there for a reason of, like today, for example, I had some specific questions on the book that I purchased. Now, the representative was not the founder, and it was a team member that conducted the call with me, but that person didn't offer to take my question and get back to me. Uh, the response was that she's not, she wasn't skilled in answering that question. And then she went on to say that if I decided in the future that I would like to purchase their service, then I could schedule another call. She was generously offering me another call so that I could be sold. And I explained to her that, well, first I asked her if she would be willing to listen to some feedback. And she said yes. And so I explained to her that, first of all, I thought that this call was supposed to be a complimentary call related to, or because of, the book that I purchased. And apparently it wasn't. Somehow that, wasn't conveyed to me. I clearly don't think I misunderstood, because I remember what I wrote, and I also had to answer questions. And I also put in there that I would probably have some questions on how best to use the material that I purchased, the book, and, even get some pointers, starting pointers on how to integrate it into our business, which is super important. But what I recommend is that the agenda be more mutual. And I understand that if somebody's new to doing these discovery or strategy calls, it may be somewhat difficult. And quite frankly, I could tell that she was a little bit nervous. Not that I'm intimidating or anything, but I could tell that, she was a bit nervous. She did send me a note beforehand and tell me that she wasn't going to be on camera, which is fine. That's fine. We were on a Zoom call. But I didn't feel that she had enough knowledge to really be conducting the call with a prospective client. Because if she is the first person, like, let's, vetting out potential clients, then, I didn't get like a wonderful welcoming feeling, especially since I just asked that one question about, does she have any ideas or pointers on how I could integrate this, at least get started integrating it into my business. So anyways, When after I asked if she would be willing to listen to some back, I explained to her that, I thought this call was just a complimentary call to go along with the book, just to kind of get some additional information. And I also explained to her that uh, I don't really understand why a call would be conducted in the manner that she conducted it in. Because when, you know, for instance, where I feel the potential clients get the most value is if we are able to, first of all, validate, what, where they are, in their journey, because there's most likely something that they're seeking that they, maybe it's a problem they have that they don't want. Maybe it's a solution they're seeking that they don't have. There's something that actually prompted them to answer the questions, and like I did, and actually schedule a call. I'm taking action. However, I expect in return for taking action that I may learn something. And so I did explain to her, and I said, I'm not, critiquing your work or anything, but I just don't understand why the calls would be conducted in this way. Because, you know, generally speaking, from my experience, it's a lot more gratifying is if someone shows up and they, for instance, get like one action item that they can work on, which is something that I commit to my potential clients, at least giving them something from an accountability standpoint. I'm not coaching them, but giving them some observation that they could explore or that they could go ahead and take action on. Because that's where I see, people just continue spinning if they're not taking action, if they're not integrating new ideas and new strategies and tactics. So, three areas that I feel we should focus on again for these discovery calls. And I am going to be sharing a document very soon, hopefully within the next week, that actually can provide you with questions on how to conduct these calls. And then you can adapt it according to your service or product. But point number one is about the agenda. Having it be that it's a bit, maybe a bit more fluid so that it includes what the prospective client would be seeking to get out of the call. Because time being our most valuable resource, if a prospective client is going to show up, like I said, and take action, then they should be given something, or they should be at least given the opportunity to learn something. Okay. And then the second point that I feel is super important besides the agenda is validating why that prospective client is there. And that's what I mean by, like, where are they? Because, like, in the coaching world, we talk about meeting the client where they are and helping them get to where they want to be. So, in order to better understand them, we need to make sure that we are active listening, very closely, right? And validating their concerns, and also, acknowledging what they have done. Because we definitely, sometimes people show up to these discovery or these strategy calls, sales audits, depending on whatever your goal is. I like to do sales audits too, because that's where we're able to clearly determine, what's missing or what constraints are holding them back from the next level of growth. And it's eye opening. It's, eye opening for the prospective client as well as me. But it's super important that if we're going to conduct an audit call, or we're going to do a strategy or discovery call, that we're able to not allow the prospective client to stay in a negative space too long. Because sometimes people show up, the prospective clients, and they're venting, 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 and it's okay to a point, because, they need to feel heard by us and they need to feel seen. However, we don't want them staying in those negative stories because we want to be able to help facilitate them and help lift them up. So that's the second point about, validating, acknowledging, patting them on the back on, the things that they have done right. And then, just confirming exactly, like I said, where they are and where they want to be. And then the third point is I feel like when, once we know where they are and where they want to be, I feel we need I like to personalize it and, comment on something that they had said, something that may be missing that they could take action on immediately. When I did a lot of speaking engagements, specifically in the EQ or emotional intelligence space, one of the reasons why those speaking engagements were so popular and well received is because I was able to give actionable tips that they were all C levels, and a lot of them were in the tech space. So CIOs, chief security officers. The reason why I got really good reviews on those was because they were able to take at least one of my tips and take action on it that same day. They could take pictures of the slides and then they would actually be able to start working on those the same day. And like I said, if we can learn, but if we don't integrate into our business, then nothing's going to change. So just to review, these are three things that I recommend you consider. And I would love, love, love to hear your insights. What would you add? What would you do differently? The first one is, just understanding that when you're conducting a discovery call, especially if you're not the founder, you know, not expected to know everything, but at least have the agenda be a little bit more fluid so that the person that is the prospective client could potentially be able to achieve what they set out to do by booking the call. Like, one question that is good to ask is, well, what prompted you to schedule this call with me today? That will give you a lot of ideas. Like, for instance, if the person that I had the call with today, if she would have asked me that, even though I put it on the application form, I would have told her I was looking for, 1 to 3 actionable tips that I could use to go through the book, the material, to start integrating into my business. So that's the first thing, understanding that the agenda should be a little bit more fluid. And then secondly, validating where your prospective client is. And then third, giving them some actionable tip based on the validation, based on why they showed up, that can actually help them. Because remember, in today's world, we have so much information. So it's information overload. People get overstimulated. We really have to help people get laser lucid focused on what is actually going to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. And lastly, I'll just say that if you are one of the people that are conducting the discovery calls, either for another organization as maybe like an adjunct setter or an adjunct coach, or if you are the founder of the organization, please understand that not everybody that shows up there is ready to buy, because that the prospective client may not even know what you're offering or what's best for them. Like, as an example, going back to the experience I had this morning, I didn't even know what we were talking about, like as far as what I was supposed to be purchasing. I had no clue. I thought that I was just coming, like I said, for the complimentary call to discuss the book. that I purchased. Very strange. I don't get it, but it's not the first time it's happened to me, like I said, in the last couple months. So I feel very passionate about this, that things have to change so that the so that we're able to effectively help that prospective client be able to figure out what is best for them. And don't assume that everybody that shows up in your Zoom room is ready to buy your service. And that is probably one of the biggest, you know, the biggest blunders that people can make, because, like, as an example for today, I didn't even know what was for sale. I didn't even know that anything was for sale. That was not conveyed to me. So it's certainly not a good way to start out a relationship. And so, if you are a founder or you are someone that is representing an organization and doing some discovery or audit calls, you know, consider following those steps and let me know how you conduct the calls. Because one of the reasons why I'm putting together like a cheat sheet template is because after me attending a significant amount of these calls as a prospective client, what I'm seeing is a lot of people don't know what to ask, don't know how to proceed with a prospective client. And then, of course, the assumption of thinking that everybody that shows up in your Zoom room is ready to buy. So, let me know your thoughts. And I'm also going to be doing a masterclass on some basic sales tips and, making connections and networking. So I'm curious to know what topics you would be interested in, what topics would give you value and be helpful to you in your journey. So please do let me know. Let me know in the comments or send me a DM. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. I thought I would pop on here and share 3 tips on what I like to focus on during the discovery calls, in hopes that it may help you if you are not aware of exactly how to structure them. Because, I didn't know either. And the only way that I learned was through making mistakes and not knowing what to ask, because it's a learn by doing. And I remember when I first started doing discovery calls, years ago in coaching. And of course, there are different discovery calls because uh, the well, actually, most of the discovery calls that I did with AT&T were in person. I may have talked to some people on the phone just to pre-qualify them, but then, most of the detailed work was done in person, because we didn't have this the luxury of technology. So as much as things have changed over the years, the one thing that hasn't changed is, being able to make that connection and make that prospect feel heard and seen. That's super important. That is what those two things alone can contribute to the know, like, and trusting. Because if it is all about the agenda, excuse me, like a one-sided agenda, the prospect and potential client, however you refer to them, is not going to feel seen and heard and not welcome. So let me know how you conduct these, and I'd also be curious to know if you experienced anything like I've experienced over the last few months. I think if we work together, we can modify this, because, like I said, people have wonderful services and products to offer. But if people don't know about them, then how are they going to learn so they can decide if they want to purchase or enroll in a mastermind or enroll in a master class, whatever whatever the best next steps would be. So I hope everyone has a lovely, lovely evening. I'll look forward to getting your insights and I'll look forward to seeing everybody soon. Goodbye.